In the mid to late 70s and early 80s, there was no game company more well known than Atari. With classic titles that many people still love today, the company had it made. That was, of course, until their 2600 became saturated with low-quality games and the market crashed. In the present day, ask some younger kids about Atari and see what they know. You might be surprised. But we aren't here to talk about that today. We're looking back at some of the best Atari arcade games re-released on the Game Boy Advance in 2002. This is Atari Anniversary Advance. Atari Anniversary Advance consists of some of the most popular Atari arcade games, like Asteroids, Tempest, Super Breakout, Missile Command, Centipede, and BattleZones. These games appear to have virtually no change in bringing them to the Game Boy Advance, and that's a very good thing. They still have that old-school feel, even if you are playing it on a much smaller screen. Since high scores can also be saved on the game pack, it might be fun to lend this out to some friends and see who can beat you. Now, like I said, the games on this are just like the arcade games, but controlling them can be a bit of a pain when using the D-pad. It just feels a little bit strange, especially in games like Asteroids where momentum picks up, and this is even harder if you're using the Game Boy player for a bigger screen like I was, since it gives you a really small delay. This issue isn't present on every game, though. Tempest, Centipede, and BattleZones probably made the best transition to this control setup, while the worst by far is Super Breakout. The game is almost impossible to play with either the D-pad or the GameCube analog stick, and it's really a shame considering how well liked it is. Missile Command is actually really suited for the GBA controls though, with different guns being assigned to the L, R, A, and B buttons. Atari Anniversary Advance doesn't feature any type of Pong like past versions of the game had, but it does have an Atari trivia game that will make you feel like you don't know anything about Atari. I consider myself to be pretty knowledgeable about gaming, but I know a lot more about the period from 85 and up. Apparently though, people at Atari thought red plastic wrap would work in a video game. I guess it did. I'm kind of surprised that there weren't more games put onto this, however. Yeah, most of the best arcade games are included, but it would have been nice to have some old 2600 games as well, with the amount of info the GBA carts can hold. Just don't put that port of Pac-Man on it. Ever. As this is mostly a game for fans of the originals, you'll obviously be pleased with its aesthetics. Everything has that old, classic feel that looks awesome, especially on games like Tempest and BattleZones. Sound effects are also excellent, even if they are slightly primitive. Firing in Centipede is sure to bring a big smile to your face. While I can't recommend this game to anyone who really doesn't care for games from this time period, as it won't change your mind, Atari Anniversary Advance is a fantastic collection of arcade titles that is sure to satisfy your old school appetite. Just don't get too upset when your friend beats your high score.